0200 hours. Deep waters off the Pacific coast, Sonora border zone. The ocean is an endless void of black. Heavy clouds extinguish the stars. Beneath the surface, the water pressure is immense, crushing against everything in the deep. A massive steel shape cuts through the darkness. It moves with the silent lethality of a predator. Inside the U.S. attack submarine, the air is cold and scrubbed clean. Red combat lighting bathes the control room. Sailors stand rigid at their stations. The only sound is the faint, rhythmic thrum of the nuclear engine. The sonar operator leans into his screen. He watches the green cascade of data. A jagged line appears. He taps the glass. The captain steps forward. The seafloor rises sharply ahead. They are crossing the continental shelf. The perimeter is breached. The captain signals. The helm operator spins the heavy yoke. The submarine banks violently to starboard. Massive brass propellers bite into the water. The vessel drives downward, slipping beneath a thermal layer to mask its acoustic signature. The hull groans under the increasing strain. Hydraulic pumps hiss loudly. The outer doors of the torpedo tubes slide open. Freezing ocean water rushes into the firing chambers. The submarine shudders as the pressure equalizes. A second attack submarine emerges from the gloom on the tactical display. It flanks the formation on the left. The Wolfpack tightens the circle around the coastal approach. The weapons officer inserts a physical key into the launch console. He turns it. The safety covers flip up. Targeting computers hum as they synchronize with the navigation system. The captain holds his hand steady over the intercom. He orders a silent hover. He commands the crew to wait for the laser designation from the shore team. The submarine slows to a crawl, hovering just feet above the sandy ocean floor. The metallic beasts lie in wait. Above them, the waves roll gently against the hostile beach, hiding the devastation that sits below. 0230 hours, submerged lockout trunk, USS attack submarine. The steel chamber is cramped and smells of recycled oxygen and rubber. 4 Navy SEALs sit huddled together, knees touching chests. Their black wetsuits glisten under the dim amber emergency light. Breathing apparatuses hiss rhythmically. The team leader checks the pressure gauge. The needle trembles. He bangs on the steel hull 3 times with a heavy knife. The signal rings out, valves scream open. Freezing ocean water erupts into the chamber. The noise is deafening. The water rises instantly, swirling around their boots, then their waists, then their necks. The cold shock hits them hard. The air pocket vanishes. They bite down on their mouthpieces. The team leader pushes the heavy outer hatch. It grinds against the pressure, then swings open into the infinite black void. The SEALs kick out. They exit the submarine and enter the crushing depth. They are weightless ghosts in the dark. They fin hard against the current. Bubbles are scrubbed. Their rebreathers leave no trace. Above them, the surface is a shifting ceiling of gray moonlight. They ascend slowly. They breach the surface. The night air fills their lungs. They tread water silently, bobbing in the surf zone. The coastline looms ahead, a jagged wall of rocks and sand. They swim toward the beach. Waves pick them up and hurl them onto the wet sand. They crawl forward on their bellies. They drag their waterproof bags behind them. They reach the tree line. The team leader unzips a bag. He pulls out a heavy laser designator. He extends the tripod legs and plants them in the soft earth. He peers through the thermal lens. The view clears. 3 massive concrete warehouses sit inside a chain-link fence. Guards patrol the perimeter with assault rifles. The leader adjusts the focus. An invisible infrared beam shoots out. It paints a silent dot on the center of the first depot. He taps his radio twice. The target is locked. 0300 hours. Combat Information Center, deep beneath the Pacific surface. The hull creaks rhythmically against the crushing deep. Red light spills over sweating faces. The air is thick, smelling of ozone and recycled coffee. Sailors sit motionless at their consoles, their hands hovering over illuminated buttons. The digital display shows a perfect firing solution. A straight line connects the submarine to the coastline. The weapons officer watches the laser designation code appear on his screen. It pulses red. The target is confirmed. The captain steps to the center of the room. He grips the overhead rail. His voice cuts through the hum of electronics. He orders the tubes flooded. Switches flip. Hydraulic actuators groan throughout the ship. Massive steel valves slam open. Seawater rushes into the torpedo tubes with a violent hiss. The submarine shudders as tons of water displace the air inside the firing chambers. The vessel momentarily loses trim, dipping forward before the ballast tanks compensate. Inside the tube, the land attack missile wakes up. Its internal guidance system spins. The turbine engine primes itself. The heavy clamps holding the weapon retract with a loud metallic clank. The outer hull doors slide open, exposing the weapon to the open ocean. The fire controlman speaks into his headset. He confirms the weapon is wet. He confirms the outer doors are open. The targeting computer locks onto the GPS coordinates provided by the SEAL team. The firing circuit closes. The trigger glows on the console. The weapon strains against its final latches, ready to leave the tube. 03:15 hours, launch depth. The captain speaks. Match bearings and shoot. The weapons officer smashes the plastic button. High-pressure gas vents explode into the tube. The submarine bucks violently. The steel hull shudders. A massive cylinder is ejected into the black water. It tears upward, leaving a trail of cavitating bubbles. The missile breaches the surface. The protective capsule blows apart. The booster rocket ignites. A blinding flash lights up the ocean. Roar! The missile climbs on a pillar of fire. Smoke pours over the waves. The sound hits the water like a hammer. Second tube fires, third tube fires, the sea boils. 3 missiles arc over the horizon. Their wings snap out with a metallic clack. The turbofan engines whine to maximum RPM. They bank hard toward the shore. They drop low, skimming feet above the whitecaps. They act like hunting dogs catching a scent. They scream toward the land. The night is no longer quiet. 0317 hours, perimeter fence, Depot Alpha. 2 sentries walk the gravel path. The air is still. A low, piercing whine cuts through the darkness. It grows rapidly. It becomes a deafening scream. The sentries turn. Their eyes widen. The first missile slams into the south wall of the main warehouse. The reinforced concrete disintegrates. The warhead punches through the debris and buries itself in the ammunition stacks. It detonates. A blinding white sphere expands from the center of the building. The blast wave rips the corrugated steel roof from its bolts. It hurls the twisted metal sheet hundreds of feet into the night sky. The walls blow out. The fireball engulfs the stockpile. Thousands of stored artillery shells cook off instantly. Secondary explosions tear the ground apart. The earth liquefies. The shockwave hits the guard tower. The steel structure buckles and collapses. Wood splinters. Glass shatters. The heat vaporizes the chain link fence. Debris rains down like jagged hail. Black smoke billows up, blotting out the moon. The facility is no longer a building, it is a crater. 0330 hours, Depot Bravo staging yard. The burning skeleton of Depot Alpha illuminates the night. Orange flames lick the sky. Ash falls like black snow. The air smells of sulfur and panic. Klaxons scream over the loudspeakers. The noise is a constant drilling assault on the ears. Enemy drivers sprint across the tarmac. They scramble up the hulls of green armored vehicles. They drop into the hatches. Diesel engines thunder to life. Black exhaust plumes mix with the rising smoke. The ground shakes as the heavy machines lurch forward. Steel tracks grind the concrete into dust. They smash through those wooden perimeter gates. Splinters fly. Commanders yell into handheld radios. They order a defensive scatter. The vehicles fan out, seeking cover behind berms and concrete walls. Turrets spin wildly, searching the dark tree line. Gunners rack the charging handles of heavy machine guns. They aim at nothing. A driver peers through his thick glass vision block. He sees a flash on the ocean horizon. It is not a missile, it is a muzzle flash. 0335 hours, 3 miles offshore. The ocean is choppy. U.S. destroyers cut through the waves in a line formation. Their bows smash the black water into white foam. The steel hulls are gray ghosts against the burning horizon. On the foredecks, massive 5-inch gun turrets rotate with a mechanical whine. They lock onto the coordinates. The barrels elevate. The first destroyer fires. Crack, boom. A jet of flame spews from the barrel. The ship rocks backward from the recoil. A spent brass casing the size of a trash can clatters onto the deck. The second ship fires. The third fires. The shells scream through the air. They tear apart the sound barrier. On the shore, the ground erupts. The defensive berm guarding Depot Bravo vanishes in a cloud of dirt and pulverized rock. A shell slams directly into the lead armored vehicle. The impact punches through the frontal armor. The vehicle explodes from the inside out. The turret pops off like a champagne cork and cartwheels through the air. It crushes a guard shack. Another shell hits the concrete barrier. Shrapnel sprays the infantry trench. Soldiers dive. The earth shakes violently. The bombardment walks closer to the main warehouse. Craters open up in the asphalt. The air is filled with flying concrete and burning metal. The defensive line is shattered. 0345 hours, Depot Bravo main storage. The air inside the warehouse vibrates. Dust rains from the rafters. The floor shakes rhythmically as shells pound the exterior courtyard. Crates of high explosive ordnance rattle against each other. A forklift sits abandoned in the center aisle. its engine still idling. A high-explosive projectile pierces the eastern wall. It enters at supersonic speed. It punches through a stack of wooden crates containing mortar fuses. The detonation is instantaneous. The blast overpressure expands faster than the building can yield. The steel girders holding the ceiling groan, bend, and snap. The entire corrugated metal roof lifts off the structure. It peels back like the lid of a tin can. It hangs suspended in the air for a fraction of a second on a pillar of fire. The roof flips. It crashes down onto the adjacent pier. The impact shears through the wooden dock pilings. Concrete blocks tumble into the harbor. A massive fireball rolls outward, consuming the loading cranes. The heat blisters the paint on nearby patrol boats. Burning debris arcs high over the water. It splashes down into the surf, sizzling as it hits the waves. Thick black smoke joins the column from Depot Alpha. 2 targets burn, 1 remains. 0400 hours, Depot Charlie loading bay. The heat from the burning depots rolls across the tarmac in visible waves. It stings the skin. Ash coats the windshields of the waiting convoy. The air is thick with the smell of unburnt diesel and burning chemical agents. Floodlights cut through the swirling gray smoke, casting long, frantic shadows. Soldiers scramble. They form a ragged human chain. They pass heavy wooden crates hand to hand. Muscles strain. Sweat drips onto the asphalt. They heave the munitions into the open beds of 6-wheeled transport trucks. A crate slips from wet hands. It slams onto the ground. The wood cracks open. Brass artillery casings spill across the concrete. An officer screams. He waves his pistol. He grabs a soldier by the vest and shoves him toward the cab. He slams the door. Engines roar to redline. The lead truck dumps its clutch. It lurches forward. The tires spin and smoke against the pavement. It swerves wildly. The side mirror clips a concrete support pillar. Glass shatters. Metal screeches against stone. Sparks shower the ground. The driver corrects the wheel. He stomps the accelerator. The convoy begins to move. They speed toward the mountain road. They leave the open gates behind. They drive straight into the trap. 0410 hours, coastal highway 2 miles from Depot Charlie. The convoy races along the cliff edge. Headlights cut through the swirling dust. Engines scream at redline. The lead transport truck bounces violently over potholes. The driver fights the steering wheel. He looks in the rearview mirror. The depot is a shrinking silhouette against the burning sky. He floors the accelerator. The air above them shifts. A sonic boom cracks the windshield. A land attack missile dives from the clouds at a near vertical angle. It screams like a banshee. The weapon slams into the asphalt directly in front of the lead truck. The road vanishes. A crater opens up instantly. The truck slams into the wall of expanding force. The cab crumples like wet cardboard. The engine block is driven backward through the driver's seat. The fuel tank ruptures. A fireball engulfs the chassis. The momentum hurls the burning wreck into the air. It flips over the guardrail. It plummets 300 feet down the cliff face. It smashes onto the rocks below. Behind it, the second missile strikes the main bunker of Depot Charlie. The warhead penetrates the reinforced roof. It finds the primary stockpile. The detonation is seismic. The entire mountain shudders. The blast wave rips outward, catching the rear of the convoy. It lifts the trailing trucks off their tires. It tosses them sideways like toys. They roll over and over. Canvas tarps catch fire. Munitions in the truck beds begin to cook off. Colored tracers sprayed wildly into the darkness. The road is a graveyard of twisted steel and burning rubber. 0430 hours, surf zone, 1 mile north of the burning coastline. Thick black smoke blankets the water. It chokes the moonlight. Ash falls onto the waves like gray snow. The ocean churns, agitated by the shock waves. 4 black shapes emerge from the tree line. The SEAL team sprints across the wet sand. They move low. They drag their empty gear bags. The sand kicks up behind their boots. A low rumble rises from the ocean. A rigid inflatable boat tears through the fog. Its black hull flies over the whitecaps. The outboard engine screams. The boat slams down into a trough, sending a wall of spray into the air. It banks hard. The hull scrapes against the sandbar. The engine idles, gargling deep underwater. The SEALs wade into the surf. The water hits their waists. They hoist the heavy laser designator over the rubber gunnels. They throw their bodies over the side. Wet rubber squeaks against wet rubber. Boots scramble for grip on the diamond plate deck. The team leader slaps the coxswain on the shoulder. The driver jams the throttle forward. The engine roars to maximum power. The propeller bites the water. The boat rears up like a wild horse. It spins 180 degrees. They punch through the incoming breakers. The bow smashes the waves. Salt water sprays the crew. The boat accelerates into the deep water. Behind them, the shore is a wall of orange fire. The burning fuel dumps cast long dancing reflections on the wake. The team disappears into the dark. 0500 hours, high altitude above the Sonora coastline. The sun breaches the eastern horizon. It paints the cloud deck in streaks of blood red and bruised purple. The light hits the water. Below, the geography is altered. 3 massive pillars of black smoke rise from the shore. They climb straight up, punching through the low clouds like dark towers. The fires on the ground glow with a dull, dying orange heat. An unmanned surveillance drone circles at 20,000 feet. Its long wings cut the thin air. The camera ball rotates. It zooms in on the devastation. The lens captures the smoldering crater of Depot Alpha. It pans to the shattered docks of Depot Bravo. It tracks the landslide of rubble that was once Depot Charlie. The ammunition is gone. The supply line is severed. Deep beneath the surface, the U.S. submarines vent their ballast tanks. Air bubbles escape and rush to the surface. The vessels grow heavy. They angle their bows down. They slide silently into the crushing dark of the abyssal plain. The propellers turn slowly, pushing the steel leviathans away from the coast. They vanish from thermal sensors. On the surface, the destroyers turn west. Their bows cut through the lingering smoke. The white wake stretches out behind them, erasing their path. The ocean swallows their presence. The only sound remaining is the crackle of cooling metal on the beach and the rhythmic crash of waves against the ruin.